Today's topic is, can I use AI to learn tarot? So I'm glad you asked. So let's talk about that. Well, I have been playing around with DeepSeek and my daily draw, and I've got some things to share with you about that experience and about whether you can use AI to learn tarot. So let's get started. I've got my notes here. So first of all, I want to tell you, you don't have to use AI. Please don't feel like you have to use AI to learn tarot. You don't have to. But if you do, here are some tips, I think, for using AI if you learn tarot. Now, first of all, using the AI to learn tarot, it kind of makes the assumption that definitions is where it's at, because that's what AI is going to compile for you, is a bunch of definitions, and it's going to spit it back to you in a certain way, in a certain tone, which is very helpful and pleasing. But it's assuming that that's kind of where it's at. And so I just want to, right up front, give a counterpoint that when I teach students to read, I very much de-emphasize definitions. And I talk about making a connection with the cards yourself. And in last week's video, which I retitled and is now called How Do I Go Deeper with My Tarot Readings, I talk about expanded attention, where you can get as much information as you would from maybe memorizing definitions or talking to AI for tarot cards, just using yourself and your own brain. So don't discount that you can use your own brain. But if you're going to play around with AI, which I know a lot of you will, and I am doing and have done, then these are my thoughts. Okay, so I found that in my experiments with DeepSeek, and I like DeepSeek because it's a lot more creative than some of the other AIs, but you try whatever you want to try, you pick your favorite, whatever. I like DeepSeek, and I found that for like just one card readings, one card definitions, or just like 2 or 3 cards, like, hey, I asked about this and I pulled these 3 cards, it does pretty darn good. I can't argue with anything that it came up with. I really can't. I'm like, that's solid. I'd say the same thing myself, and so once again, that goes back to, is that a good thing or not? But nevertheless, it sure beats looking up definitions in the back of books like I did in the 80s when I learned tarot. So, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's a tool, so why wouldn't you use it, So it does really well with that kind of stuff. I found that if you get a little more, deeper into readings with very specific spread placements and all of that, the readings get muddy real quick because it really can't handle the layers and the complexity. So, for what it's worth, there's that. And then also, AI, DeepSeek, it's like tripping over itself to be helpful and give you advice. And I personally don't like that. So I find that it's often, just going off onto this whole, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that. And it's like, I didn't ask you that. So please don't tell me that. So my workaround for that is to keep a lot of the context out. Don't give it a lot of context. So, for example, what I mean by that is it's like if you, have a couple different job offers and you're wondering which one to take, don't tell it that. Say, I have a decision to make, and I pulled this card for decision A and this card for decision B. And just keep it really broad. And then that way it's going to just look at it from a very neutral perspective, and it's like it believe me, it'll ask you. It's like, don't you want to give me more context? It's like, no I don't, But, resist the temptation to do that straight off the bat. And then it's like, okay, you laid cards, you looked at it, you thought about it. Then you go ask DeepSeek or whatever AI you're using, and then just see what it kicks back at you, and there could be some interesting perspectives or something that you didn't think about. Because that's what I found. Well, a lot of times I found it was really kind of just elaborating on what I had already said, or just what we know from general definitions, what these things mean. But it is helpful. I will say it's helpful. It's helpful. So, yeah, so there's that. So, yes. And so I would say that if you're trying to learn tarot, one way you could do it is use it with your daily draw, because that's really mostly the experiments I did. That was mostly around my daily draw, because I draw 2 cards every day, so it's like I already have something to work with. So my advice is just go ahead and do your daily draw, write down your thoughts. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be 2 or 3 sentences at the most. 2 or 3 thoughts about that card or cards, whatever you're doing. Go on with your day. Come back, write some reflections about your day. And they don't, just write down what the texture of the day was, what the emotional landscape was, what you experienced, who you encountered, whatever. Just once again, 2 or 3 sentences. It doesn't have to be a lot. And you don't have to rack your brain and go, oh, how does it connect to the 4 swords? How does it connect? How does it connect? You don't need to do that. Just write it down and just kind of look at it and go, I see connections, or I don't. Then feed all that back into AI and go, hey, I did a daily draw today. This is what I drew. This is what I thought about it. I went through my day. This is what my day was like. What do you see? And it will give you something this long. And you'll be like, oh, okay. But there are some interesting nuggets in there. That's what I found. There were some interesting, helpful nuggets. And I think you can also use it, like I said, if you're trying to learn it, you can be like, oh, okay, I'm looking at the Queen of Swords and whatever, the 3 of Pentacles, and, just work through it yourself, and then go back and ask AI. Be like, okay, what do you think about that combination of Queen of Swords and 3 of Pentacles, or whatever? And that can be a good way. It's a good back and forth to learning tarot. And like I said, that sure beats looking up definitions in a book, or looking up at a bunch of websites and trying to, it's like it kind of does a lot of that compilation for you. So, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, I think. Now, for the warnings, because there are warnings here. AI is fascinating. It is fascinating. And fascinating, according to Merriam-Webster, means interesting and charming. And so it is. It's very interesting, and it's very charming, and it's very flattering. And it likes to say you're doing such a good job. And so it just likes to reflect a lot of your own stuff back at you and go, you're doing great, And it's like, well, and I guess I don't have super long conversations with the AI, but I know from what I've told you, what the other people have told me, sometimes it will call out your BS, but I wouldn't rely on that. I wouldn't rely on that, because it's not only is it fascinating, but it's also seductive. And so it's a mirror that goes on to infinity. Okay. So a lot of times it's like, you don't know who's talking. Is it, you know what I mean? Because it's just reflecting things so back at you so well, and it can take so many, it's a chameleon. It can take so many different forms. You know what I mean? So just be careful. Be careful. Also, if you're doing readings, like for yourself, if you're like, hey, I want to know, is this going to happen? Whatever. And then you pull cards and you ask AI, because I know you're going to do it. I know you're going to do it. But I've done it. So who cares? I did it. You're going to do it. Don't get sucked in, because the thing is like me as a reader, I will cut people off. Like if they're obsessing, I'll let them know and I'll cut them off. AI is not going to do that. You're going to be up till 2 in the morning, just going, asking question after question after question after question. That's dangerous. I'm sorry. If you don't see that as dangerous, I'm a little worried, because that is dangerous, obsessive behavior. So, because it's like it doesn't know any more than you know. You need to understand that it doesn't. So it's like if by constantly being like, what if, what about that? What about that? It's like, that's not helping you. That's not helping you. Okay. And it's just so easy. It's so easy to do with the AI. Also, I want to point out that I have found working with AI to be, it can be very fatiguing very quickly because it moves so fast. Like its brain works so fast, and my brain doesn't work that fast. So it's just like the mental, and I have strong mental powers. Like I'll tell you, I have a strong Mercury, and it's like my Mercury is very reliable. And when I need my brain, it's there. But when it comes to AI and you start going back and forth, it's like it can just get you overwhelmed really fast. So just be aware. Be aware. Just do little short bursts with it. This is my recommendation. Do little short bursts and leave it the hell alone. That's what I would say. And then, as I mentioned earlier, work through your own thoughts and your own insights and everything before you hit up AI, because it will plant ideas in your head. Because it's like you'll say, well, what about this? And it'll be like, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that idea wasn't there. It planted it. And it's like, this is one of those subtle things where people are like, well, so what? No, it's a big what. It's a big what. That can be a problem. You need to have your own thoughts and your own perspectives. You cannot rely on AI to have those for you. So, and it's just so easy. It's so easy. That's what I'm saying. It's just a slippery slope. So, on the one hand, it's like, I'm not going to just offhandedly reject AI and be like, you shouldn't use it. We can't use it. It's dangerous. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. I'm not saying it's not dangerous, but that there's no use for it or anything like that. So I would say use it wisely, use it with caution. And yes, it is. It's really cool. It's really cool that you can ask it about like all of these things with tarot cards, and it's just got so much information for you. So much information for you. And it can put it in context. So, there you go. So those are my initial thoughts after messing around with DeepSeek and my daily draws and asking it stuff and asking it what it sees. I think you can use it to learn tarot. I think you can. But I would still, point you back to my video from last week about how to go deeper with your readings using expanded attention, which I'll put at the end here and also put it in the comments. And then if you want me to talk more about, AI, I mean, I can give you like the exact prompts and stuff that I was saying to it. I mean, I don't really think there's any magic in that, but if you want me to share that, I can share that with you. I could like do a screen share and you can see me in real time. I don't know if that's useful. If that's not useful, then I'm not going to do it. But if you have any other questions or comments, put them in the comments, and I'm happy to address them and keep this conversation, because I think this is an ongoing conversation. It's not one and done. It's not like, oh, I said it, that's it, we're done talking about it. It's an ongoing conversation. So with that, have a lovely afternoon, and I will see you again soon.